Goon Night is the game I've been working on this year. Wanted to put out a video of my progress so far, mainly so I can look back at it one day and laugh. But started working on this game at the beginning of this year, 2024. Put in about 660 hours so far, averaging about 11 hours a week. So it's been very slow progress. I'm not a game dev, so it was a very steep learning curve to get started. And the goal of Goon Night, the game, it will be a tower defense at its core, where you gather resources, build a base, defend it at night, because enemies are attracted to the light, and the more lights you put out, the higher level the night is. The more loot you get, the harder enemies are. So that sort of a thing, and that'll be the main progression of the game. So every night you select what level or what difficulty you want, or you can just sleep through the night, turn all the lights out. If you don't want to do that, just focus on like resource gathering or building up your base before you tackle the night. Um, and every time you successfully defend your base, you unlock the next level. And then maybe every 5 levels it'll be a boss level, and every 25 it'll be pinnacle boss level, something like that. And you put different colored lights around your base to attract different types of enemies, which drop different loot. So you can sort of target farm if you get stuck on a level and you want to farm out a specific weapon, and that specific weapon requires a specific resource, which can only be gathered or gotten from, goblins or something like that. And you lose by, your base getting destroyed, but it'll just kind of rebuild itself. So I don't want it to be a hardcore game and definitely not a realistic game. I hope it's more fun and respects your time. Uh, and I want it to be difficult in some ways, but the sort of ways that feel good to overcome. Um, and so you'll never really lose progression. It'll have a small open world aspect where you sort of pick a place to build, and then you can go exploring during the day. Find some NPCs, do some quests for them. Say like a blacksmith who'll craft your weapons, and then you do some quests for him, and he'll come back, join you at your base, and help you out. And there'll be some open world bosses you can fight and whatnot. So what you're seeing here, this is just kind of background footage of what um, this is my first stab at learning how to use Unreal Engine's landscaping tools. So I just kind of like built some stuff, added some foliage, way too many rocks. Um, and the goal with building the map is I want it to have sort of natural locations where it would kind of make sense to build your base. So like on top of this plateau where you have some uh, entrances where the enemies will be coming from, so you can sort of plan your defenses around that. Um, Sort of more strategic in where you pick your base location. And as for map size, I don't really know, maybe 4 of these squares. I don't think it needs to be huge, especially if it's a tower defense game where you're spending most of your time in your base. But let me actually open up the test world that I've been playing around with. Uh, F11, close that. Um, so all the assets are just like placeholder. I just randomly threw stuff together. I'm not an artist, so at the end, if I actually make a game out of this that amounts to something, then I will, maybe hire an artist or actually put some work into stuff. But so all that stuff you see was just all stitched together. And these little guys I made in Blender. First time doing 3D modeling, it was very difficult. Um, but not trying to perfect that right now. So going through some of the stuff I built. Um, let's start with just hitting the tree. So like any other survival game, you hit the tree and you get wood. I just need to do enough damage. So this is my inventory on the bottom right. You have the resource inventory, which is sort of its own separate thing, so you're not bogged down with 1,000 items in your inventory. So I'm going to spawn in some loot here, and I'm kind of going for classic ARPG stats, and quality levels are like any other game. It kind of starts out with, gray to white, green, blue, purple, orange, sort of a thing. Um, and to get better loot, you gotta kill higher level monsters or level up your crafting skill. And if I open up crafting real quick, say I wanted to craft like a wooden axe, takes 12 wood, hit craft, you get a wooden axe. Item level 1, because I'm level 1 and I haven't leveled my crafting. And it'll have just like one little stat. And the higher item levels will have more stats, and the higher value of the stats will go. Don't look at the numbers too closely. I haven't done any of that tweaking. It's just kind of a random number between 1 and 100 for everything. And then under the item level on the item, you'll see like DPS, defense, utility. It's kind of an estimate of how your DPS will increase or decrease if you equip that item. So if I equip some things here, spawn in some more loot. You can see my DPS going increasing, and you can hover over it to see how your damage is being calculated. So like you look at fire, and I have 55 base fire, then an 88% increase. So you can kind of get more information about how your damage is being calculated. And then in your inventory, you have the ability to filter by certain stats. So you want to see what gives my most life. It's this piece right here. Or you can see, of all the items I have in my inventory, what's going to give me the biggest DPS increase. And you still have to kind of use your judgment, but I thought this was a little nice thing to have. Not sure if it'll like actually make it in the end game, but so that's items. Combat I haven't worked at all on, so just have this one animation, and lots of wood spits out, and the green XP balls, sort of like Minecraft, they come out and get soup back into you. XP bar down at the bottom, in the bottom right, you can see the resources I'm gathering. So the wood, the quest tracker on the right doesn't work. I just made that a few weeks ago. In the bottom left is sort of the damage meter. So if I hover over that, the green bar is the healing I've done, which is just like all the life steal. So let's click on the damage tab. So it's broken out by the damage type. So blue is ice, yellow is lightning, and then physical and fire. So you can sort of see how your damage is broken out by element, and also what your targets are. And then as for skills, those would be in the bottom middle, the little hotbar 1 through 5. Then you have the left click and the right click. Sort of like a classic ARPG, Diablo 4, something like that. The only ability I have right now is just Bladestorm. And I like the idea, if it's not a nightmare to balance, that you can use your abilities to gather resources, like I'm doing right now. And, you full combo the tree, sort of like you would at a training dummy, but you're actually getting wood out of it. So you can practice your abilities, learn what they do, and get something out of it. And I also think it's more fun than just doop, 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 hitting it like that. So let's actually build something. Put these goons to work. Looks like nighttime is coming. So craft building. Haven't really worked on the building aspect too much, but this is sort of the idea. You click on a building, shows you what it takes to craft it, tells you what it does. There'll be a little animated video of what the building does, and then the building upgrade path. So the building isn't going to be like, you place every foundation in every wall. It'll be preset buildings, sort of like those over there. Sort of like Clash of Clans or, RTS like Warcraft, Starcraft. Um, you have an armory building. In the armory building, you can use it to craft armor. It buffs your goons, stuff like that. So let's place, actually nighttime is coming. Enemies are spawning. Let's just restart. So let's say we wanted to build a stone storage. So at some point we learn how to make this. And the goons sort of know what to do. They have their own job priorities based on what they're good at, and what needs to get done. So the only thing to do right now is build. So they're hitting the tree, getting wood, bringing it over, and I like the idea of, uh, they have 3 pieces of wood. They bring it over here. Let me just finish it, and you can see, you know, every time they add a piece of wood, you can visually see a piece of wood here. Um, and the way this was coded is like, based on the size of this storage thing, like I made it really long or really wide, it would be able to store more resources. Um, so, maybe the next upgrade of this building would just be a bigger wood storage, and you can visually see how much wood you're storing, assuming it's not laggy or anything like that. I want to try to have that in the game. And then if I put another one over here, instead of going to cut down more wood, they'll actually start taking from here, assuming there's enough. So let me put some more there. They should start taking from that one, putting it over there to finish that one up. And then in my inventory, I can hover over like wood. I can see where it's at. So the storage overall is about half full. Um, and the goons have 17 on their head right now. And I like the idea of where I like how some games you can craft from, any inventory. So say I have the wood storage over there, and over here I'm crafting, an axe, and it'll just pull from that storage. Um, so uh, I don't like games where your inventory is filled up with resources, and it's an inventory management game. It's not what I'm going for here. Let's look at the shaft, the mine shaft. I've been calling it shafting. So this is kind of like the idea would be it's an instanced version of a mining world, I guess. So you go in and out through your little cave entrance, and I haven't actually like implemented the mining yet, so I just press Q and I delete the blocks. And you can see on the right side, it's all going into my shaft sack. So like this block here, this is what I've been using to coal. So you have like coal, stone, copper ore, iron ore, all your standard resources, ore, dirt, gravel, stuff like that. Um, and there'll be caves, there'll be enemies, it'll have its own progression system. If you ever played Path of Exile, it'll be like Delves, where the deeper you go, the harder the enemies, the better the loot, the darker it gets. And it'll sort of have its own progression system, its own upgrade paths, and it's like an alternative way to get loot as opposed to crafting or just like the normal nighttime progressions. So, got some stuff. Let's go back. And what do you do when you get a bunch of ore? You smelt it. So let's build a smelter. That is this thing. So this requires 850 stone. So these guys should start going to get stone. Ignore the big stone balls on their head. It's just to help me understand what they're doing. So let's speed this up. But see, boop, 3 stone. There, gonna finish it. If you ever played Minecraft, modded Tinker's Construct, that's kind of what I was going for here, with just having a big vat of lava and you just throw a bunch of the ore in there. Um, it should look pretty simple. You have 6 iron ore. 6 goes to 3 bars. Craft. Just hit smelt all, and then it goes doot 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 doot. And you just kind of like let this run, um, and it'll give off light, be aesthetically pleasing, hopefully. And boom, we have an iron bar, and then you'd use that to, I don't know, craft weapons, do something, upgrade your base. Some other random things I built are these like cannons. So again, I just threw a bunch of shapes together and called it a cannon. And oh, here we go, nighttime spawned. Um, that's pretty much it. Let's see, quests. I haven't really worked through quests yet, but the idea is you see what to do on the left. You always know what you're kind of working towards. If you don't know what to do, you can always look over there. Um, and then sort of like simple quest log, tells you what to do. A little bit of flavor text, maybe some lore. I don't really care to make it a story-rich game, but a little bit here and there, sure. Your progression and the rewards that they might give. You can see unavailable and completed quests. Achievements, these will just be like Steam achievements. And then statistics. I don't know if I'm actually gonna like implement this or not, but the idea is like every day and every night you could see how much resources you gathered. It'll take a copy of your damage meter over here, so you can see how much damage you did that night compared to the night before. It's sort of just a way to track those statistics all in game. And then you can also see like what your goons have been doing and not doing, like how much wood that the goons gathered versus how much you gathered that night. Um, and then, oh, what I didn't show is, well, let's start over, is the item rack. So the idea with the item rack is that all the items that you can equip, so can your goons. So if I plop down an item rack here, let's also plop down a wood storage so they have something to do, a couple, so they don't finish. So the item rack is, let me finish it for them, is just another inventory where you can store items. And let me put some of my stuff in here. The idea here is that every now and then they'll come by and equip some stuff if it's an upgrade. So they determine if it's an upgrade by the little numbers under the item level. And as you can see, some of them have gotten some move speed items, so they zoom in. And if I go over here to this tab, I can see all the goons, what they're doing, what's in their inventory, what their stats are. And you can see that they've been equipping some items. So Ethan here should be doing 134 damage each hit now. So you don't have to micromanage them. You just kind of drop all your extra loot in here, and they kind of do it for you. And I thought it would also be kind of cool if you have a big axe that you got from a dragon boss, and then you put it in there, and you see a goon walking around cutting down trees with it. It's kind of a silly little thing that I thought would be pretty cool. That's pretty much it. Next year I plan to actually make the gameplay loop and make it somewhat of a playable game instead of just this. Um, and yeah, I'm probably not gonna work on any of the art till there's an actual game to play. So stick around for year 2 if I make it that far. Otherwise, peace.